So, I was watching some old Technoblade videos, as one does, and I noticed that occasionally, Techno will make reference to himself being a relatively tall person. So that made me wonder, how tall exactly is Technoblade? Now, of course, the first thing that crossed my mind was, who cares, go to bed. But the second thing that crossed my mind was, could I figure it out myself? And the answer is... Alright, if we're going to calculate how tall Techno is, we're going to need two things, a reference figure and a relative distance. Now the first we can get from the fabled YouTube sent me a thing, which grants access to full body shots of Rick Astley. Now, we just need some measurement to base our calculations on, which we can get from this video, which contains an exact distance for us to work with.
Okay, the thing about me is that I'm really tall, so if I take one step, it carries me half a mile.
Yeah, that's right, we're doing this. Alrighty, since we're using the length of his step, the next logical step would be to find the length of a leg, which we can do by finding the clip with the most straight out leg, which would appear to be about right here-ish. Now, we need to draw a line along the length of his leg to his heel, to measure his, well, leg. Since the step is defined by the length from one heel to another, the next line will extend onto his heel, and the last line will connect the two, forming a handy-dandy triangle. Now, it's clear that the video is not on pace with the audio, so here's some lines to, stall. Now, we draw a straight line down, forming two right triangles, so that we can make use of the two angles that we already know. Those angles being 57 degrees and 51 degrees, respectively. With this, I can both annotate the triangle and wonder why I'm spending my life doing this instead of my English homework. Now, we just need to figure out the degrees of the rest of the angles on the triangle, which we can do because the total degrees of a triangle is always 180. And here, you can mock the fact that I spend a pathetically long amount of time on simple subtraction, as I arduously conclude that the difference totals out to 33, not 23 degrees. And the same is done for the other side, measuring out to an angle of 39 degrees. We can also fill in our known distance down here, which is 0.5 miles, or 2,640 feet. I am so good at mental math, it's unreal. Anywho, now that we have our angles and a distance, we can use this thing called the law of sines, which is basically the ratios Chad older brother. With this, we can plug in the values that we already have and determine that the length of one leg is... We've already established I can't do mental math. There's no way I'm doing sines in my head. Now, we can just chuck that big boy number right onto there and use a ratio, which is basically the law of sine sigma sibling, and exactly approximate Technoblade's height, using those little tick marks on the ruler and our unwaveringly precise eyeballs to set up the final ratio. Alright, while this is happening, I'm gonna go pretend to get some water, so be right back. Alright, I'm back, and as you can see, we just about have this ratio set up to calculate the total length of his upper-ish body. At this point, I realize I can just drag the calculator from the side of the screen, so we are led to the irrefutable conclusion that from the torso up, Technoblade is approximately, specifically about 3,418 feet tall. And by adding the leg length to this distance, we can conclusively determine that Technoblade's height totals at precisely somewhere around 6,163.71 feet, or 1.167 miles. This places Techno at a height that dwarfs the largest building in the world by over a 2 times margin!